I have nothing to say on rugby league whatsoever. I do want to talk about Cambodia, though. The 23rd of October this year marked the 27th anniversary of the Paris Peace Accord, signed in 1991, that finally brought peace to Cambodia and promised democracy. It was one of the finest, the most enduring achievements of Gareth Evans' tenure as Foreign Minister. Yet 27 years on, we must now be clear-eyed. While peace may have been achieved, progress towards democracy in Cambodia has stalled, or truth be told, has gone backwards. The legitimate aspiration of the Cambodian people, supported by 19 countries, including Australia, through the Accords, to choose their own government through free and fair elections, is further away than ever. And the European Parliament declared in September the political structure of Cambodia can no longer be considered a democracy. This followed the farce of this year's sham July elections, which saw Hun Sen's CPP win 125 seats out of 125 seats. I mean, Dan Andrews didn't even get close. Campbell Newman didn't even get there. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a rocket surgeon, as Warwick Capper used to say, to figure out that those elections were not free or fair. It's my favourite Warwick Capper quote. I'm not telling you the others after Sugar Baby this week, thanks Claire. Opposition leader Kem Sokha was jailed during the elections. The main opposition party was banned. The media and civil society were intimidated. Now, we want to win the next election. We want to beat our opponents, but we want to beat the Liberal Party because we have the best ideas and we go and convince people to vote for us. We don't want to ban them, we don't want to jail them, we want to beat them. We want to win at the ballot box, which is exactly the aspiration that the Cambodian democracy activists have for their country. So this resolution says enough is enough, that it's time that Australia honoured Labor's legacy, Gareth Evans' legacy, and it seeks real action, urging the next federal Labor government to toughen Australia's position and to act in accordance with Australian values, which we signed up to in 1991. Now, I just want to touch on two of the practical steps. Firstly, Australia must now consider the introduction of targeted sanctions aimed at key members of Hun Sen's regime, such as visa restrictions and asset freezes. The United States government has already implemented targeted sanctions, but the Cambodian democracy activists tell us that the regime would be more concerned if Australia acted because so many members of the regime come and go with family and assets here. And secondly and finally, the issue of domestic interference. Now, Australia is not familiar with the situation in Cambodia, may wonder what this has to do with us. It's not just our legacy, it's not just good international citizenship, but right now, that regime's tentacles are now infiltrating our cities and our suburbs and the communities that many Labor members of Parliament represent. This thuggish regime is influencing our politics, committing crimes here, exploiting and threatening Australians with impunity. Australian citizens of Cambodian heritage should be able to live their lives, to speak their values, without threats and interference from a foreign dictator. So the Australian government, a Labor government, must investigate allegations of money laundering and crimes, expose community groups operating in Australia as just regime fronts. The Liberal government has failed to act, both through lack of care for human rights, but as we in Labor know, because to do so would embarrass them given their own shameful $40 million refugee deal with the dictator of Cambodia. So in closing, can I pay tribute to the incredible Cambodian Australians for the role they've played in our multicultural nation since they first came to study under the Colombo Plan in small numbers, but then from the mid-1970s we welcomed over 12,000 refugees fleeing war and persecution and murder under the Khmer Rouge to settle here. They're a shining example of successful settlement, contributing wonderfully to the country, but never forgetting where they came from, continuing to fight for peace and democracy in the land of their ancestors. So the next federal Labor government should act, it must act, and I commend the resolution to the conference.